excited to introduce the very first episode of the Iron Will Collective podcast. We've been talking about starting this podcast for quite some time now, and we are now finally getting it rolling, so that's very exciting. And so to introduce my cohort and co-host, seated right here beside me, the amazing Elliot.
Hello. Yeah, as John mentioned, this is something that we have had rolling in our brains for a little while, and we're excited to finally get into the whole podcasting thing. We are a couple of big podcast fans ourselves, so it's fun to have the means to be able to produce one on our own, and it's cool because really anybody can do this.
It's freaking awesome, man. I mean, really our whole goal with this is to present interesting ideas and conversations with people who are knowledgeable in the field of our study, which is exercise and things like physiology, health and wellness in general, all topics considered under that. We're going to have a lot of fun with this, man.
Yeah, we plan to span topics ranging from fitness itself all the way into philosophy and mindset, because it's really all intertwined. And if you can master any of those two things, then you're probably going to be able to really take control of your life and make something of it that you might not have thought was possible before.
There's a lot to be said on things like that, for sure. I mean, we could go for hours, we could go for days, but
we only got 6 hours here for this podcast. So yeah, you better have those wireless headphones charged up and ready to go. We're going to be talking at you.
This is a marathon. No, we're just playing. I guess we should properly introduce ourselves. My name is Jonathon. You can call me John. And I've been training since 2014 on and off. I actually became interested in training around 2014 by watching some movies on Netflix. That's actually what did it for me.
What movies?
So at the time, they were running Pumping Iron Classic. And I figured, hey, I like classics. And Arnold, everyone loves Arnold, man. He's the shit. And then there was Pumping Iron. So I got a little taste of the old school and the new school.
You said Pumping Iron twice. What was the second one? You mean Generation Iron?
Generation Iron, yeah.
Jenny Iron.
Yeah, Jenny Iron. Did I say Pumping Iron twice? Dang. Well, you're right.
We can fix it in editing.
Yeah, there we go. We're going back. Well, I was a musician before, so I really admired the discipline and the intensity of those advanced bodybuilders. They really took it to the next level when it came to their overall self-discipline and their focus. As a musician, I put a lot of time into practicing my craft and trying to get better, and I saw it pay off. I felt it pay off, and I felt myself become a better musician. So I knew focus and effort could really be applied and accomplish some pretty sick ass things, turning your body into this 200-pound gigantor.
Sculpture.
Yes, absolutely.
It's all art.
And I was never really super athletic growing up. I didn't play that many sports, but I was familiar with things I'd skateboard or BMX, things like that. And I knew it felt good to move. So I was really attracted to it. And being this skinny musician guy who smoked cigarettes and was actually pretty unhealthy, I thought, man, I'm going to take it to the next level like these guys. I have been inspired. So by that, I started reading, and from there it really sparked an interest because it turns out the science aspect of it is really, really fascinating. The philosophy behind keeping up with yourself and getting through these strenuous activities, that's incredible too. So man, it started a wildfire, and I can't say that I lifted every day after that because that was my biggest struggle, was consistency. So I was consistently a bookworm, and I spent all my time learning as much as I could. And I became certified as a trainer, which allowed me to take a job in a gym and a couple different physical therapy clinics. So I really like corrective exercise. I like thinking of anatomy holistically and kind of integrating the science into the lifestyle. So that's me.
Very interesting stuff. To tell a little bit about myself, of course, my name is Elliot. I have been training personally. I have been training myself for almost 4 years now. So I'm still pretty new compared to most people, but I feel as though this has really become a passion of mine, and it's become something that I have spent a lot of my time in those past 4 years, not only in the gym, trying things myself, but also trying to obtain information. And I was lucky enough to meet John at a retail music store that we used to work at together. And, neither of us were into fitness or anything when we first met. We were both guitarists. And I just want to say, as a side note, John is very good. Hopefully, we'll be able to record some of his music and some of our future pieces, and you'll get to hear some of his playing. But I came from a similar background. I was not really into fitness at all until my early 20s, and I decided to really just go all in with it, and made it a lifestyle, and trying to make it a career now as well, which is fun because I believe that things of this nature can be considered the meaning of life, is just being able to feel good every day and to have the confidence to pursue what it is that you want to do, and learning the discipline needed to become good in fitness is a trait that you can apply to many other facets of your life. So great to have the company of someone like John, who is motivated and has a similar mindset. I implore all of you who are listening to surround yourselves with people who want to become better, and that should in turn make you become better.
Thanks, man. They say that you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with most. Or if you hang out with 9 losers, pretty soon you're going to become the 10th. Well, I'm surrounded by some pretty damn awesome people, and we've been presented with a lot of really great opportunities to bring people like that to a greater audience, and that's what we're trying to do here. Is we're building up our audience, and hopefully we're delivering content that is going to be relevant and entertaining, and maybe even a little bit cool, and show it to people that you like.
That's our goal, really, is, most of what we're probably going to say on this podcast has probably already been said somewhere on the internet, but it's a matter of bringing it to the people that we know in our circles, because chances are they don't have all the same influences as we do and the access to the same information that we've had. So we find it to be very important information, and we want to just try to propagate that through our community and people who may not have been exposed to it before.
Yeah. So I have a question for you. Why in the world did you start lifting?
That's a very tough question. We have planned that to be the topic question for this episode for quite some time, and I've thought about it a lot. And it's hard to go in that time machine in your head back to the point in time when you first decided that you were gonna make this a real habit. And especially for someone like me, who I feel like I just went all in instantly. I never really had, other than maybe when I was a 14-year-old kid, never really had any interest in this in my adult life. So I would have to say, the seeds had to have been planted back when I was a teenager. When I was very young, probably freshman in high school, I was invited over to a friend in the neighborhood's house to do a workout. He had just like a little bench set in his backyard with like a 15-pound barbell with those like plastic weights that are full of sand. So it was like, the cheapest little setup you can get.
Old school.
Yeah, I went there, and I can specifically recall doing a workout with those guys, and being so sore the next day at school that I could hardly put on it and take off my backpack. So I don't know if that maybe deterred me from getting serious about it, Well, come to think of it, it didn't. Because I remember when that guy moved, I bought that bench set off of him, and I put that in my bedroom. But as history foretold, I let that bench set turn into more of a clothes rack than anything, and it got buried under stuff. And then, as I got a little bit older, I started getting into music and wanting to do that primarily as my hobby. And I think I sold my bench set when I bought a drum kit, and I replaced it for that. So it's like not, the worst thing I could have done, not the worst thing I could have sold it for. But in retrospect, I really wish I would have stuck with that bench set, and I would have stuck with the iron, because it ended up winning out over the music in the long run for me. But I'd say the seeds were definitely planted then. And then when I got a little bit older, I finally started getting serious about the gym after I got out of a long-term relationship. I don't know, I just didn't feel good about where I was. I was like 22 years old. I was very, I'm a tall guy. I'm about 6 feet tall, and I weighed like 140 pounds. And that was like the top weight I've ever weighed. Probably weighed it for like 5 years. So I was tired of being lanky and skinny. I never really thought about it before. I always figured just as long as you're not obese, you're probably good. But I wasn't. I was weak, and I stood for a lot of improvement. So after that relationship, I was living with her, and I ended up having to like move back in with my parents. And that's a real shock to the system, for a young adult. That was the first time since turning 18 that I had been back at my parents, which isn't a bad thing. Love my parents. But I started from there. As soon as I moved in with them, I began a at-home like body weight regimen where I would just go home and do a bunch of push-ups. I had like a couple like 20-pound dumbbells that I could do various exercises with. Started with that, and then considered investing in home gym equipment or signing up for a gym membership. Opted for the gym membership, signed a 2-year contract, and kind of just took that as like, okay, I'm paying big money for this, not huge money, but paying my hard-earned money to this place, I better get my money's worth. So from there, pretty much went at least 5 days a week for the next 2 years, very consistently. And I, have been getting even more serious ever since then. Started with the serious lifting and some serious eating, went on a huge dirty bulk when I first started. I had a friend who showed me MyFitnessPal and showed me how to track macros and stuff like that. And I was just eating whole freezer pizzas and stuff, packing in the weight. So I gained like 50 pounds. As I got more serious about nutrition, I cleaned that up, lost a lot of the fluff, and I feel as though I'm at a great point here within my third year, my junior year of lifting, and I'm ready for what's to come. How about you, John?
Whoa, man, just learned so much about you. that was pretty cool. So after benching in freshman year of high school, were you ever like, what would happen if I put that on my back?
Well, actually, freshman year of high school, I was also involved in a PE class that was called, when I signed up for it, it was called weightlifting and weekend sports. So I was excited to do some weightlifting even before then. Now that's coming back to me, so I would have signed up for that a year earlier, of course. The class really consisted of 99% weekend sports. They hardly let us in the weight room, but we were exposed to a bit. So I did my first squatting ever in that weight room. It was probably god awful, and I remember it being hard, but I don't remember what I looked like in the mirror or anything like that. But I know that I sucked at it. But so the bar had been on my back to that point. Well, it wasn't just bench.
There you go. At least you didn't skip leg day. So
only for like a few years.
Hey, it happens to the best of us, but you held true to the path, and you course corrected. I mean, now you're rocking the bigger legs, man.
Yep, getting those compliments. Got to wear shorts more often.
That's right. Even the shorts are too tight though. So Well, why did I start lifting? I wrote a few notes down, just to guide me along here. And
Just so the audience knows, this is completely scripted, every
whole
bit of
thing.
it. So we're perfect. We would never mess up any of our words or anything. So just remember that.
And I'd also like to give a huge shout out to our studio audience. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, we got
They
there's a
laugh for
dog
us.
in the other room. She can probably hear us.
So I kind of already touched on this, but it says I was a musician before, and so I admired the discipline and intensity of the advanced bodybuilders, which led to more. It actually ended up tying back to like deeper sensitivities and insecurities that I had from being, well, skinny and then angry. I was freaking angry and sad and just this combination of negativity as a young adult. I had a lot of things pent up inside, and music was just not going to be the outlet anymore.
Let's pause there. I'm wondering where that negativity came from in the first place. Like were you getting shafted as a kid often, and were you like just had no optimism, or like what put you into that negative mindset, if you can even think of it?
Yeah, definitely. Well, it was a cumulative, man. It took a long time to get to that point, and I must have been like 19 or 20 years old, but by that point, I was independent and I was doing my own thing, but I had a lot of issues when it came to, feeling good, and I was definitely not doing anything that was helping that case out. Like the things I ate were pretty garbage. I don't know how often I drank water. Thankfully, I never got into soda or juices or anything, so I was more of a milk guy. So I drank a lot of milk. I ate a lot of bread. Not that those things are bad, but when that's what your diet consists of, you're eating
It's a
like,
lot of carbs, baby.
man, I was eating like a 1600s peasant. It was crazy, and I actually really loved it. But so I had all this like negativity and stuff and anger. It probably didn't help that I was eating terribly. And so I decided I was going to put my energies to good use. And so when I went into the gym, my way of thinking was like, I'm going to show up and just pound myself into the ground. Like, I'm going to learn good form so I don't do this, ignorantly. But I'm going to go as hard as I can just because I want to prove that I can to myself. So it was this really cool experience, and it allowed me to get into a headspace where I could channel all my emotions and stuff and make them work hard. So it it ended up lending itself to me feeling like a stronger individual, and the fact that I had attacked the whole act of weightlifting kind of like music, just a little piece at a time. Never expect that you're going to be the best right out of the gate.
Well, I want to add that something I know about you is that during the height of your music days, you were practicing like 8 hours a day. You'd come home from school and you would just play guitar for the rest of the day. And that discipline that you instilled in yourself with that had to have expressed itself later through probably not even just lifting, probably other endeavors that you've made that you probably haven't even realized that, hey, like I really persevered with this, and I just like, I have the grit. I made it happen, because getting good at guitar is no easier than getting good at weightlifting. Let's be honest.
Yeah, guitar's crazy, man. But yeah, I think that it's true. A lot of those habits kind of cross over, and I think at the end of the day, it just feels good. I I didn't have like much discipline as a kid, but I was disciplined, if you know what I mean. Like I didn't have somebody guiding me and like telling me what I should be doing. I just got told what I shouldn't be doing, which was almost everything. And so I was pretty confused. And so what ended up working was like looking towards other people. I had a lot of idols growing up, and I would look towards their habits and the things that they did in order to get into a place. And so when it finally came time and I watched those documentaries, I saw Arnold and I saw Kai Green and Phil Heath and, all those guys, they're like busting their ass just so they can like almost crawl up onto a stage, like shredded to the bone, contest condition, and they're gutting it out against each other, like the best in the world. I thought, well, holy shit, whatever they're doing, I want to do it because I love that. I love the pure, like, I don't know, the depth of it, man. Being able to accomplish great things just by focus and repetition.
And it's very interesting how those themes stay true to this day. But as the science has found more data to be able to contribute to the way people go about their course on their way to the stage or anything like that, or just if you're just a recreational lifter and you still you want to do it smart, you have so much at your fingertips as well that can make it much easier for you and give you the potential to train smarter and not just train harder. So now you don't need pure intensity and just the willingness to go in there and make yourself suffer. While yes, you're still going to be needing to do that to an extent, you now have the opportunity to do it in a much smarter way because we know now, with findings in science that you don't have to go and train Bulgarian style to get the gains.
Maxing every day.
Yeah. So as far as it goes with pumping iron, as well as you mentioned, the top group of elite competitors competing against themselves, I always found it very cool that they were all buddies as well. So that goes back to, the people that you surround yourself with. These guys were, like your Lou Ferrignos and Franco Columbos, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, all those big time names, all, while they may not have been best friends because they were competitors, Franco and Arnold, but they were united by the same goal to be the best in the world, which would bring them together. So we want to try to make a community like that as well.
Yeah, that's the collective right there, baby. Like-minded individuals, but it's a really cool thing indeed, and you're right about the science. It's changed a lot. So it changed my approach personally in that you don't have to go in and just do what you think feels right because you might not be right. So if you could apply knowledge, if you could dig into this subject and become a student of the craft and figure out what's more along the lines of optimal, at least for you as an individual, what's going to help you achieve the goal most efficiently, figure that out and then start applying those principles on yourself with that intensity. Apply the intensity even to the application.
Well, I think for a scholar like yourself who spend the time learning the music, and I feel like there's a fork in the road with the similarities between the art of music and the art of creating a physique at the point of science. Because while there is music theory and widely accepted quote unquote correct way to do the things in music, there's really no rules in music. You can play out of key, you can do whatever you want. If it sounds good to you in music, then it is good. Then that is what you need to be doing.
It's called jazz.
Exactly, it's called jazz. But here, as you were saying with lifting, if just because it feels right for you may not mean that it's going to be the best thing that you could be doing. So it's interesting that you kind of get that divide there, and maybe that is where your interest in music was left a little bit behind your interest in fitness, because you are also interested in science and in educating yourself. That's not to say that you couldn't be reading books on music theory and doing big things with that, but it's just different.
It's definitely different, man. Because to go along with training principles, you can get into the whole world of nutrition principles, which on its own you could dedicate your life to. So I'm kind of dipping toes into both waters there because they do go hand in hand. I think when it comes to training, the three main things that one should consider, I call them the pillars, are your training, of course, that's very important. There's your nutrition, what you eat and what you put into your body, also very important, and your sleep. All three of those things considered into one holistic plan would encompass a good program.
And this is a big reason why this is such an interest and something that's so important to me, because this is literally life. If you get into this lifestyle, you're going to be spending every waking moment of your life doing something that is going to play a factor into this. So whether it be your workout at 8 a.m., your lunch at 1 p.m., or your bedtime at 8 p.m. there, these are all things that you are going to want to set up in accordance with your goals. These will all play a major factor because you need all three of them to be at a decently high level if you want to, if you're serious about making the progress that you want, you need to respect these three pillars.
Definitely. And none of it happens without goals. So that's that magic word right there. If there was any magic word, it's goals. It's what it's all about. Setting little goals like, hey, I'm going to lift this heavy object 3 times. And then next week, I'll try to lift it 4, or maybe even 5. And then next week, I'll do a little more than that. They're all just goals. Inside the gym, they're pretty easy to apply because we have weights with numbers and we can write things down and track it and look at progress. Outside of the gym, it's actually kind of similar. If you want to do better in work or, I don't know, cleaning your house, doing things for yourself in general, just setting little goals means chunking things into small, manageable bits and then just doing it.
And with goals, the more specific your goal is, the more likelihood you have of achieving it. If you know exactly that in 1 year you're going to be going to a beach party or something like that, and you want to drop 10 pounds in order to prepare for it, having that specific goal will be a lot better than just saying, sometime next year I want to be a little bit thinner. So the more specific you can get about your goals, the better. So always be thinking about that.
Man, I have a beach party next year.
Really?
No.
Can I come?
Sure.
Full disclosure, I have never seen the ocean. We're based here in Tucson, Arizona. I've done a little traveling in my day, but never made it out to the ocean.
Never seen the waves.
I have been to Lake Michigan and Lake Superior. Those are pretty big, pretty ocean-like. Good enough for me right now. One day I'll make it out.
Did you catch any waves on the Nar? Were you surfing?
Did go and get a little sand in the shorts, no surfing.
Yeah,
no,
nice.
It was very cold.
That's it. That's the ocean for you, man. Freezing.
So mindset in general is a hugely, hugely important factor that you really need to be in a certain headspace if you want to be successful with a lifestyle change, if you are interested in going down the path of the iron. What do you think in your past, at what point did you really start to try to change your mindset and try to look toward optimism rather than negativity or anything like that? When did you become motivated to, I don't know what the right word would be, upgrade your
My whole
morale?
perspective, man.
Yeah, your perspective.
My perspective needed changing. Well, in the past, I really dove deep into a lot of Eastern philosophy stuff when I was younger. And I really liked the whole meditative aspect of that. And I loved how it considered really, really deep and profound topics. And I always found my sense of relaxation and calm within that kind of stuff. Like it would chill me the fuck out. I felt really good surrounding my stuff with that. But because I was so mixed up with all that like craziness going on inside, it took the iron to snap me out of it. And then from there, like you mentioned to me earlier, success leaves clues. And at that point in time, I was looking to the guys who were, at the top of their game within bodybuilding. And I mean, they know it. A lot of people already know this, but I didn't know it at the time. Stress kills, and it kills gains. It kills people. Like it kills a lot, man. Disease and all that. It really thrives in negativity and stress. So I had to start making little changes with my perspective, and then just, kind of taking control of my way of thinking. It's a lot of it just has to do with like catching yourself when you talk shit about yourself to yourself, or when you are being a little too hard on yourself, when you do like a normal thing that happens to people.
It's hard to cohabitate with that second voice in your head, because like really, who knows where that crap comes from? Is that just ideas floating from the ether? I mean, negative or positive. So something that I've learned is to really just try to keep yourself above those voices. Listen to them and hear them, but don't let that drive you. You should be something deeper than that. You should have a higher control than those ideas that just pop into your head.
Hell yeah. And as you were explaining that, I had a memory kind of come back to me, and I remembered, holy shit, when I was in high school, I was really into Vikings. And I remember I had this idea of the Vikings before I started researching them and like the Nordic mythology stuff. And I thought, well, Vikings are pretty freaking badass, man. Like they're up there in the frigid cold, and they obviously they have their reputation and all that, and they're crazy. So I kind of like had this respect for them, and I thought, man, I want to be Viking. I want to be really tough like that. And so when it came to the negativity and that shitty voice in your head, the one that we all have, I said, I'm going to be Viking about it. Just keep pushing forward. Like, it's all right to have those thoughts, but they're not stopping me.
And the Vikings did some amazing stuff. Archaeology shows that they beat Columbus to North America by like thousands of years. So, and that's a good role model to have for an ancient people. Who's your favorite Norse god?
So I have 2 tattoos. I've got one for Thor before the movies came out.
Oh, don't lie.
God damn it. And then I've got another one for a god called Tyr, who fed his hand to a wolf. He sacrificed his hand to the wolf during the end of the world in order to save everyone else, because he was a badass. He didn't give a shit.
That sounds pretty badass. So would you sacrifice your hand for the gains? Like, say you could achieve enhanced level results, but you didn't have to do steroids. All you had to do was feed your hand to a wolf. Would you do it?
Yeah, hell yeah. Except for I'd probably have one really small side. Like one of my arms would just not be developed, and come to think of it, not worth it.
Okay, what if everybody was able to get the gains of the enhanced if you fed your hand to the wolf?
All right, I'd do that. I'd take one for the bros.
That's very noble.
Yeah, I could feed. Could I feed a leg?
Well, we got a thing that we always skip leg day here at the Iron Will Collective. So yes, feed both of them.
All right, cool. Well, I won't be needing them anyway. I'll start with the calves. I'll feed my calves to it first.
Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna work. I'd probably start with the upper leg.
Oh, okay.
Just let them gnaw on it.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
I had a girlfriend that. No, I won't get into that.
She not on your leg.
They're crazy nowadays.
Yeah, I wish girls liked me.
Well, I don't know, man. It shouldn't be an issue. What are you doing?
I'm not working out hard enough, apparently. I guess I got to just get into the gym a little bit more. I probably should do a rerun of Pump and Iron to put myself in that headspace that we were talking about, and then then maybe. In all actuality, though, you should never, ever embark on a mission of gains if your goal is to impress other people solely, because you will fail. You've got to do it because you truly want to.
For sure. having the wrong drive behind you is definitely gonna end up giving you stress. It's gonna end up fucking with you, man. You're never gonna be satisfied.
And as you were hitting on stress a little bit earlier, I thought I would make the point that stress is really, in actuality, a tangible thing. It's the cortisol hormone. It can be measured. So it's not like, it's all in your head. It's a real thing. So you must respect that.
Definitely. Well, and that's really where the big shift came from, because I realized that emotionally I really couldn't give a crap. But physiologically, my opinion didn't matter. The processes that my body was going through would happen regardless of, whether I was having a good day or a bad day. It was, if I did all the right things, if I ate well, slept on time, if I managed my stress, then my body would act a certain way. But if I didn't do those things, if I failed to eat, or if I ate way too much of maybe something I wasn't supposed to that day, or if I didn't sleep at all, or if I was just super stressed out because of, life happens, then my body would act another way, and it would react poorly, or at least negatively. That's not what I wanted. So I realized, if I don't make this change, I'm just going to keep spinning my wheels here. Like, why train if you're freaking pulling your hair out all the time and flooding your system with cortisol? You
probably don't even need to pull your hair out. It'll probably just fall out.
Yeah. If you have any more left at that point, like, it's true, man. But
MPB, male pattern baldness.
Male pattern baldness.
We're actually selling hair growth supplements as well. The Iron Will Mane. This is going to be dropping in all stores early November 2020. So be on the lookout for that.
Now taking reservations. You can drop your name in the hat.
Yeah, it's actually a inpatient procedure. You've got to come to our gym, and then we'll hook you up.
Oh man, but I'd probably use that if I were bald.
I'd probably use that to help me grow some facial hair. I couldn't grow a beard if my life depended on it.
That is a good point, because I'm in the same boat, yet here I am, man.
Just think, under what circumstances would your life ever depend on needing to grow a beard? Like, maybe if you were in the Arctic?
Siberia, yeah.
Siberia?
That's what I was thinking, like Russia. I've never been to Russia, but I'd imagine that having a beard greatly enhances your survival odds.
I bet you'd have probably a hard time becoming a rabbi if you couldn't grow a beard either.
That's true. That is very true.
I digress.
But I mean, you never know. There's always an exception.
Yeah. So in March 2020, we'll be launching our beard growth camp. We'll be putting out our ebook on beard growth. Look out for that as well.
It's called Train Harder, Push Harder.
Because literally, you can push the hair out. All you got to do is know the proper bracing.
Yep, exactly. And that's what we're here for.
Yeah, we're really getting off topic now. But where
were we?
For this first episode and future episodes, we don't want to be afraid to show you who we really are, because we're just regular guys too. And I always want to hold myself to a standard of humility, knowing that there's always going to be someone out there bigger than me, stronger than me, faster than me, smarter than me. So I never want to pretend like I'm that guy. Because you never like that guy when you do. I mean, we've all met that person who thinks that they've got it all right, but in reality, it's quite obvious that their life is in shambles. I don't ever want to be that guy.
No, man, we're just here to be ourselves and be learners. We want to be like a sponge.
Is me pointing out that I want to be humble making me not humble?
That's pretty goddamn paradoxical right there.
I don't know. I need to get on some more of that Eastern philosophy. Got to do some inward searching.
Yeah, well, don't know how to help you out with that one, man. I would,
Hair growth camp.
yep, I'd redirect you to our hair growth camp. Link in the bio.
Well, all in all, do you have anything else that you would like to add in this introductory episode? Anything about yourself, anything about why you wanted to get into training, or anything that we should be looking forward to here as the year 2019 comes to an end?
All right. Well, just to put it simply, I kind of want to lay out my training philosophy, because we're probably going to be going over a variety of different training philosophies and how they would be applied, what kind of benefits they would have for an individual, things like that. My own personal training philosophy is that I enjoy doing full body, but for my schedule's sake at the moment, I'm doing an upper lower split, and I love to work hard in the high rep range. I'm a rep guy, and I want to go as heavy as I can with as many reps as I can. With that being said, strength is so crucial. It's so important, and it's absolutely a part of my program. I'm learning to love it. It's just not something that I have a very long history with, and I'm really excited to learn from some knowledgeable peeps on the topic. And apart from that, I think that effort is extremely important when it comes to working out, and that putting in your best effort is valuable. It's going to give back to you, because what you put in is what you put out.
That's very true. If you're going into the gym and you're afraid to push yourself to the point of discomfort, then you're probably not going to be yielding the desired results anytime soon. That's a interesting quality about lifting weights and resistance training in general, is that you strive to enter that zone of discomfort, where normally in other facets of your life you strive to avoid it. But this can teach you a valuable lesson about how to move forward. In that, I mean, listen to any successful person and they will tell you that you must step outside of your comfort zone if you want to grow. And we should all, everyone listening to this podcast, all two of you, we should all want to be growing always. We should always want to be bettering ourselves and never be satisfied with where you're at. There's always things to learn. There are always things to accomplish. And your life's only so long. You might as well get to it now, because you never know. Tomorrow you might get smashed by a meteor or something.
Well, that'd be something.
That would be quite the way to go out.
Pretty epic.
Would you rather, meteor or lightning strike? Small meteor, like little person size, only gets you.
Yeah, that would suck. That's some terrible luck. No, I'd go lightning strike, man.
Okay, I'm going meteor.
You never know. With a lightning strike, you could come out telepathic if you survive.
Or like superhero or something, I don't know.
Or super villain.
Not you, you're too nice.
I don't know. Nah, you're right. Probably
anyway,
save the dogs. Hey, I was going to say something. You remind me of your saying, NSL.
Never stop learning.
Never stop learning.
I'm sure someone has said that before me as well. Probably put those three words together at some point or another in their life. That's okay. We're going to go with that. That
mine. Is your acronym.
Yeah, well, okay. NSL. Yeah, NSL. But anyway, back to your philosophy. I know that philosophy for a trainee can be ever changing based on life circumstances, schedule, and evolving goals. So at this point, it seems to me that you have a very, very well-rounded approach. You want to become aesthetic, you want to grow muscle, but you also you have a desire to increase your strength as well. And for a recreational lifter like us, you might as well go for, the best of all those worlds. It can't hurt to get strong. And of course, we all want to look good. We all want to fill out those shirts. We all want to be muscular. But if you're not strong, then who's going to take all the groceries inside in one trip?
I mean, that's a good point. I believe in farmer carries to train that. It's heavy crossover to real life. I'll tell you that.
Absolutely. I prefer to do my farmer carries with actual groceries just to, make it 100% like game day. See, we don't practice with barbells or anything like that. We practice with, milk jugs.
You must have a lot of milk jugs, man.
I do. I am, ever since you stopped drinking milk, I figured that I should be filling the void in the market and buying up that excess. I would hate to see any of it go to waste.
Well, hopefully the milk jugs aren't bringing too many boys to the yard.
I think that's milkshakes. I think I'd have to throw it in a blender first. Which I gotta say, if you don't have a blender, go buy one.
Exactly. Crucial tool. We have a video on this topic.
We do. We've got a lot of irons in the fire. No pun intended with the Iron Will Collective, but we've got a lot of great things that will be coming at you here in the near future. We really want to work hard to get this information into our community, into our circles, people who may not have had access to it, who may not have taken it upon themselves to seek it out. We want to put this at the forefront because we truly believe that this is one of the most important aspects of life is to just live a long life. You're going to want to follow some of these principles. You don't have to become extreme about it. You don't have to become a bodybuilder or anything like that. You just need to, start moving your body, preferably doing some weight training because that is been shown time and time again to be one of the best preventative measures for a lot of issues that people will experience in their later years. So better late than never. If you are able to start, just start. Just get into it. Start moving. Take your dog for a walk. Do something.
Yeah, come to think of it, today's December 26th, by the way. I don't know, whenever you're listening to this podcast. It's Kwanzaa, by the way. So happy
First day of Kwanzaa.
Yeah, first day of Kwanzaa. Yeah. With that, New Year's is right around the corner. And I'm reminded of this video that I watched by Alan Thrall. And so on his channel, he had mentioned for a lot of the New Year's resolutioners, or especially people who are new to weight training and resistance training, that instead of setting a really lofty goal, start really small. So I want to take it back to the goal setting. He recommended starting for one day. Just set the goal that you want to go out one day at a time, or one day out of the week, one day a month. Just stay consistent with that. So then next month or next week, you can hit it again. Add another one, add another couple pounds to your lifts. And consistency is inevitable. Or progress is inevitable. Sorry, consistency is how you'll get there.
Progress will be on the coattails of consistency.
Yep.
Part of success is just showing up every single day. If you want to be successful, show up. If you want to be successful in any field, as long as you're doing it every day and you are putting yourself out there to gain the experience and put in the reps, you will get better. So don't ever think that it would waste your time. Just because something like this involves very little instant gratification, don't let that deter you. Because a cliche saying that we're trying to avoid cliches here at the Iron Will Collective, but I'm going to go out there and I'm going to screw everything up, is that nothing good comes easily. And it's so very true for weightlifting and creating a healthy lifestyle for yourself. It's not going to be easy, but it's so going to be worth it.
Yeah. You can't have the great results without the great effort. You can't have anything without putting that foot forward, man. You've got to be ready to launch into the next thing, or at least tiptoe.
Unless you gamble, unless you like those slot machines, you got to throw a penny in there and you get some money. But with this is not like that. This will never be like that unless you decide that you want to use some drugs or something, which in all honesty, go for it. If you're brave enough to do that and you are educated enough to make that decision, go for it. But we here at the Iron Will Collective, we more pander to the natty boys and girls. So If you are enhanced, please show us where to get your drugs because we need some.
Juicy vitamins.
All jokes aside, if you can take away one thing from this podcast, it is that you should never underestimate yourself. And if you want to accomplish something, and if you want it bad enough, that is, you can make it happen.
Absolutely. And it's never too late to start. Don't ever fall into the trap of overwhelming yourself with how much you have left to go. You can always just take a look back. I know it's a little cheesy and cliche as well, but
oh man,
you got to remind yourself how far you've already come. You know, it really helps. Take a look back and say, I am a badass motherfucker. I can lift this thing. And if I can't today, well, at least I know because I tried. Next week, maybe I can.
Yeah, and you don't need to compare yourself to anyone else. You just need to compare yourself to where you were and look at that progress. And personally, it makes me feel proud, and I hope it makes others who have gone down this road feel proud as well, which I'm sure it has.
Hope my mom's proud. Hi, Mom.
She's not listening.
Oh. It's probably true.
Yeah, well, if she does listen, I'm going to make sure she writes a review to prove it.
Yeah, she's got to share it. You've been volunteered.
Yeah, my mom just reads the newspaper, so I don't think she's going to hear this.
Man, well, I'd like to say thank you for anybody who does check this podcast out. This is the first of many that we're going to be putting out on a regular basis. Like we mentioned earlier, a variety of topics, and with the main goal of being informative, but also lighthearted, because we are two normal dudes just having fun.
Yeah, our goal at the end of the day is to broaden your horizons and to try to help people to ditch any myopic point of views that they have and realize that if they are interested in this subject, there's no one right way to go about things. So it is in your best interest to take as many points of view as you can and try as many things as you can and find what works for you personally. Or hire a personal trainer. Get some online training from the Iron Will Collective.
Boom.
Your choice.
Hey, great options. Great options. Definitely can't go wrong with options.
Yes, sir. Thank you again for listening. We will be back as soon as possible with another installment. And have a great New Year.
Happy New Year.